You're listening to Two Guys Talking Wine with Michael Pinkus and André Proulx.
Michael.
Hello, Andre.
Our voices are a little bit more NPR or CBC. You're listening to the delicious dish brought to you by Two Guys Talking Wine.
We are in golf mode, I think. Yeah, now it is. Should we clap?
Things might sound a little bit different because we're actually recording this episode on the Zoom recorder. Currently on the GO train, heading into Toronto for a Barolo and Barbaresco tasting.
Yeah.
Since apparently this podcast now features exclusively Italian wine.
That is correct. It is now Italian wine review.
So when this came into my inbox, you and I actually didn't coordinate coming to this. But I was surprised just because Barolo is one of those wines where I am trying to learn more about it. Because it's one of those things where when you do the reading, and you know, this is an issue where when you learn about wine from a textbook, it's not really experiencing it, because I take a look at the tasting notes and it's like front and center is things like tar and leather. But I mean, these are things that generally don't make my mouth happy, or the thought of putting them in my mouth.
Well, they do have that, but there's also a lot of fruits. This is Nebbiolo, right? Nebbiolo is Barbaresco and Barolo, which a lot of people don't realize they're the same grape that goes into both wines.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, the event organized by Will Predone says there's going to be like 160 producers.
Yeah, that seems like a lot to me. I wonder if it's one of those things where there's 160 as part of the consortio or part of the group, but we're only going to see like 80. I guess we're going to find out.
Yeah, let's find out when we get there. I guess maybe my question for you before we get off the train is, you know, like I said, as someone who was, I guess, Barolo hesitant but Barolo curious, where do I start? Like, what should I do when I get there? After, don't be yourself. I'm going to grab a glass. I'm going to grab a book so I can find the producers. But like, where do you start?
Oh, geez, that's a good question. Wow. Well, usually I'll go through the book and I will look for producers that I know, and then it'd be nice to head over there and see what their wines are like. Barbaresco is less wood. Barolo is more wood. So you may want to start in the Barbaresco department. They'll be younger, in theory, a little fresher. Barolo will have those aged characteristics to them. Not the Barbaresco doesn't, but Barolo will have more of an aged characteristic, and it's usually lighter in color. All of this is just, you know, general rules of thumb. You're going to find some darker, some lighter, but yeah, I would probably start with the Barbarescos, maybe.
It sounds like it was a tough question to answer.
It is. It's a very tough question because, you know, even when I've gone to Gaia and I've tasted both Barolos and Barbarescos, and you know, you taste them both. You understand that, you know, I think one is a year longer in wood than the other one. They're both different areas within the same Piedmontese area, and it is a hard one to wrap your head around. But I found Barbarescos to be fruitier, and I found Barolos to be, as you said, tarrier. More, the fruit is a little more sometimes dried. Yeah, let's go with that.
Cool. I guess the question that I have next, like, just because I'd like to look for stuff to buy.
Stand clear, doors and clothing, stand clear.
We're on a GO train. I love looking for stuff that I could buy, and I don't mind spending a bit of money if they're good. But the issue I have with some of the wines from regions like this is like, these are wines that are generally coveted for people's cellars. Am I going to be tasting a bunch of wines that I can't drink for 30 years, or is there like a sweet spot with both Barbaresco or Barolo, depending on the producer, where I can find something that's ready to rock in like 3 to 5, or I don't even mind 5 to 10 years? Or is this one that you have to, they're better if you hold on to them for like 30 years, like vintage port?
It's going to announce the train station any minute now. I don't want to be in the middle of anything here. Come on. Fuck, he says it right after every train station. Now he's going to hold off on it. He's like watching us. Look, I have some Barbaresco in my cellar, and I have some Barolo in my cellar. You and I have tasted some Barolos.
Yes, I've loved what you brought. But I remember them being like that 30 years old.
Yeah, so one was a 93. I remember that, and it was super wonderful. Yeah, you're going to find some difficult tannins, but I think Barolo and Barbaresco are kind of in that realm now, kind of where Sagrantino is. They realize that they have to, be with tradition, but also have to, not everybody's going to live the 30, 40, 50 years that makes them more, to become more accessible. So if you want to sell more wine, you've got to be able to have people have these wines more accessible to people, meaning they want to be able to drink them early. I have no problem drinking a Barolo early. I do have some in my cellar, some of the single vineyard stuff I like to hold on to, but a Nata Barolo can be drank early, or it can be held on to for 10 years. I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised. At least I hope you are.
Well, let's see who we can talk to while we're there. 160 producers. We've got the recorder in pocket. We're going to meet up with some people.
Somebody's got to be there. Somebody's got to be able to speak English. Somebody's got a good ano.
So we exited the GO train and headed to the Liberty Grand. Is that what the complex is called?
Yes.
Yes.
British Columbia Drive or something.
I mean, it's... I'm actually a fan of the venue just because it's relatively close to the GO train, and as someone who comes in from Hamilton. But we walked in, got there fairly early, so it wasn't too busy. Went and spoke with Joel Clark of ABV, the ABV Group, an agency that is also similar to Bernard Stravwasser and Le Sommelier. We just love his wines. We did a lot of time on Henry Giroud last year, so it was nice to say hi to him.
What I was surprised that they had taken both rooms. I've been in that complex, so they've had only the one room. They took both, because as we mentioned, 160 producers.
But we were on the hunt for wine, but we were also on the hunt for knowledge. So who did we bump into?
I'm Salvatore from Reva Winery in Monforte d'Alba, so in the Barolo region. And we are here today to present to this beautiful event presenting our Barolos. We are actually showcasing for the first time our new bottling, Barolo Cerretta, which was firstly bottled in 2022 as a first vintage. And we look forward for the people to come and test it.
So we've had a chance to taste both of these wines. You and I, we were talking on the train on the way in. They're very fruity.
Exceptionally. I really like the single vineyard out of this, but he was talking about the style of these, and we had talked briefly about the style. So maybe we should have Salvatore talk about the style that they've always done.
For us, we are a very youthful winery. We are three guys working at the winery, and we firstly personally like a lot, Nebbiolo as a grape when it's enjoyed young. So, and we were working on the fact on understanding how can we bring this into the glass, as Nebbiolo is a kind of very complex grape varietal, and just with the classic winemaking, but a little attention to some details in terms of temperatures and oxygen that brings us to this final result.
So these wines still do have quite a bit of tannic structure. I can feel it just below the gum. What advice do you give to someone who prefers to drink his wines young and fruity? Obviously I'm going to gravitate to these because they're more ready to drink than I think a lot of the wines in this room are going to be. But how long should these either be decanted or stored in a cellar before the tannin starts to soften?
So let's say that, tannins, it's in the nature of Nebbiolo. Nebbiolo has to have tannins. It's something that is part of the DNA of the grape. But in our case, as I said, we work in absence of oxygen. This means that, we like to bring the aromas into the glass, complexity into the glass, and we do not recommend to decant our wines, because I think it would be beautiful, a beautiful journey to see how the wine develops into the glass. These are wines that are pretty much already open as you pour them, so this would be cool, to see how the wine develops in the glass, but sure gives you already something as you pull up the cork.
I think we're done.
I just have one last question.
Okay.
So you say that this has always been your style to preserve that fruitiness and the freshness, but we're seeing globally wine regions that are known for making wines that have more tannic structure, are built for longevity. Places like Sagrantino, where there's a movement to make the wines more fruity. I went to a Croz's Hermitage tasting recently where it's still the same thing. How did you settle on this style from the beginning? Were you seeing where the trend was going and we're just like, no, we're going to be ahead of it? Or it's just, like, how did you land on this?
Actually, we are in the Barolo region, in a region where if your company has less than 100 years, you are still a startup. And we only started in 2008, to make wine. So for us, like since the beginning, this was what we liked, and this was what we thought that could make our wine special in such a competitive region. So that's why since the beginning for us has been this the path that we followed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. It was a huge pleasure.
So we usually save the thank yous for the very end, but I think we're going to acknowledge one thank you right now, because we're recording this after we had a chance to go to the tasting, and after tasting the wines from Reva, and after the other interviews you're about to hear, I felt it would be worthwhile for me to spend a bit more time with these wines, because going to this tasting, I had a moment for sure. These are wines, like I said, that have been described as like tar and like burnt rubber and things like that, and I didn't find any of that.
No, I think that's, because Barolo is one of those wines that people age.
Yeah.
That's obviously what happens, right? The tertiary characteristics come out. But when you drink them young, like, if you think about, we had like a Nebbiolo, just a Langhe Nebbiolo.
Yeah.
And your reaction to it was, this is like fresh fruit.
Well, I mean, let's introduce the wines. I mean, we're going to dive into them a little bit more, but, I want to give a thank you to Nicholas Pierce. We just spoke with Salvatore from Reva about these wines, and Nicholas Pierce was kind enough to send them to us. Yeah, the Langhe Nebbiolo, and actually the reason I'm glad these wines are on the table in front of us is they're not fussy. They are supremely approachable. They definitely have cellaring potential, but like
juicy.
They're juicy with like nice tannic structure. I know you're not a fan of decanting, but I would probably toss both of these in the decanter.
Well, they're young.
After tasting them.
But they're young, right? One is a Nebbiolo 2023. When I'm in Italy, if I'm in a restaurant, those are usually under $30, under 30 euros, and easily bottles of wine you can drink with dinner. Because, the acidity is so good. The fruit is so good. There's just so much going on there. And then the other one is a 2021 Barolo. Obviously seen a heck of a lot more oak. It's got a little more power. One of them is, they're both 14%. One's 14.5. One's 14. I think there's a lot of structure in the Barolo.
That's it. Is like, I'm kind of kicking myself a little bit that I haven't spent any time gravitating to these wines sooner. Like, Michael, what's one of my favorite things to cook in the summer?
Hamburgers?
Well, we got the smoker behind you.
Oh, that's
right?
ribs
too. Just pretty much anything. Like, I grill meats, I smoke meats over the summer, and like, in terms of structure, like, especially someone with a wife who loves warm climate reds. I know these are not warm climate reds, but they deliver a lot of that. Like, they check the box of like the intensity of the fruit, the power and the density of just the flavors that come in them, but also great acidity.
Well, I remember the morning, I can't believe it was a morning, that I came over, and I was supposed to come for dinner, had to cancel on you, and came over for breakfast, and I said, we're still opening this.
It was a brunch. It was a brunch. It wasn't 8 in the morning. It was 11:30.
Yeah. And it was a 1998 Barolo, and we all loved it.
Yeah.
But that's the old characteristics. I don't know how many, young Barolos people have. And I think that's the beauty of Barolo and Langhe Nebbiolo, is that they are approachable now. And we've talked about this a lot on the podcast.
So let's continue with our journey. The next interview is amazing. I got a good crash course, I think, foundationally on what I needed to learn. But the frustrating thing is, I think I need to go there.
Sure. My name is Pietro Ratti. I'm the winemaker and owner of my family winery, Ratti, in La Morra. And my family played a big role in the Barolo again, because my father was the first one to map the vineyards, the Barolo vineyards in the 70s. So first of all, my father, Renato Ratti, he was the first one to map the Barolo region in 1970. Okay? So because he went to Burgundy, he saw Burgundy. So when he came back from Burgundy in 61, he started his own business in 65. And he made the first single vineyard Barolo back at that time. Then he decided to create this map of Barolo, mapping. So it took like 5 years, researching, tasting, looking, talking, and he made the map that we have here. That's the first map, okay, with 44 historical single vineyards in Barolo, and 10 of them he highlighted like a Grand Cru, like a Burgundy system. You see here on the map. Then, let's say it took like 40 years. So in 2010, after 40 years, we are in Italy, so long time discussion. Finally, 2010, the Italian government made the Ministry of Agriculture the new law that allowed to put the single vineyards on the appellation system. Prior that was impossible. Okay, so finally we had the law to do it, and Barolo and Barbaresco decided to map the two areas with the single vineyards on the back. It took a few years, so every village, every commune in Barolo, we are 11 villages, so every commune, the growers, the owners of the land, they had to decide the borders of each single vineyard. Let's say the 44 vineyards of my father map, they were taken and put it on the official map. We mapped as a grower, owner of land, with 170 single vineyards. In Italy, we don't call single vineyards. We don't call cru. Our bureaucrats, they found a logic name. They call them menzioni geografiche aggiuntive, which we can rename that a little bit more MGA or Mega. Maybe Mega today is a little bit not so good. So let's say MGA is better. And so we have 170 for Barolo, 66 for Barbaresco. In Barolo, we also include 11 villages. We also have the commune of Barolo, the commune of La Morra. Okay, so it's 170 plus 11. Okay, every village, the growers, the owners of land of every village, they decided the borders. But when we made it, the region of Piedmont, we decided to put rules on how making it, how drawing it, because we have hills, exposures, altitude, soils, multiple situations. So, but with the region of Piedmont, we decided to put rules like a minimum quantity of ownerships, okay, and a minimum also size of vineyards, of acres or hectares, okay. So you couldn't make too small, you couldn't make private. An appellation is a shared ownership, okay? You don't own an appellation. You don't have a private person owns it. It's something you have to share with people. So single vineyards are shared with multiple. There are a few exceptions of monopole, but very few. The majority are all, there are maybe one in Barolo and one in Barbaresco, because it happened to be like that.
Okay, so that was a really great explanation, and it computes with me. I don't know much about Barolo or Barbaresco, but if I'm new to it, what is the best way to try to learn which terroirs, which appellations I would like without having to taste wines from 170 different regions?
That's Italy, It's complicated. Come on. How can you ask it for Italian about how to make it easy?
So you're saying I have to come and taste 170?
Yes, but if you taste 170, you get an idea. Of course, 170 is a lot. Maybe you can taste 70, like 30%, 15, to have that. You can go to the website of the consortium, the appellation, the producers. You can find all the names and where they are. You can visually see the map. Of course, starting by villages in Barolo, Barbaresco is a different story. It's not I am a Barolo producer. It's more easier for Barolo. Starting from I would start from villages point. It's 11 villages, and so you have villages more elegant, like my village, La Morra, more elegant. Okay? So when you are approaching Barolo, first you start with Barolo. Okay? Let's say Barolo from scratch, from the beginners, Barolo. 100% Nebbiolo, and you search for vintages. More powerful, lighter, stronger, okay? Then you deep further, you go for villages. I want a Barolo a little bit more deeper. Not just Barolo, I want something more interesting, you know? I know that La Morra makes the Barolo more elegant, so I taste a Barolo from La Morra. Let's say La Morra. Then I want a Barolo more powerful, very strong, tight, austere. I go to Serralunga. So I search Barolos from Serralunga or a Barolo producer from La Morra, okay? Depends what you are looking for. Then, if you want to go further, you're also able to spend also more money because the single vineyards are more expensive, of course, but because they're more limited. Then you go deeper. I want a single vineyard from La Morra, Rocche dell'Annunziata. Okay, it's very limited. Only 4,000 bottles produced from a producer, whatever, or limited. So you search on the website or internet, Google, you say who are the producer from Rocche dell'Annunziata, whatever. And then, but you need to be able to spend maybe $150 for a bottle of wine, but it's rare.
I mean, 150 is still not that bad when you compare. You said that Burgundy was the inspiration. If you're talking about the Grand Crus of Burgundy, you're not talking about $150.
Exactly. But Barolo and Barbaresco are a bargain compared to Burgundy because Burgundy today is really exclusive and very expensive. Barolo, Barbaresco, you can still find again exactly $150, $200. I mean, it's for a Grand Cru in Barolo. I mean, it's the only difficulty in Barolo or Barbaresco single vineyard is to find maybe those wines because the production are very small. So, and when maybe we ship like to Toronto, to Ontario, maybe 100, we talk about 100 bottles maybe. So we talk about rare wines, okay? So, but that's the way to do it. I would start again, Barolo first, maybe vintages. Vintages in terms of style of the wine. So 22, warmer, more fruity, a little bit easier, more approachable, more open. 21, cooler, tighter, wines with more body. Maybe you need to wait a few more years, okay? So vintage gives you already the key on your palate, what you are looking for, okay? Then you go again, village, single vineyard. Then you can, it's a incredible world of fun to explore, to understand. Tasting is always the best way to understand a place, a wine, anyway. So you need to rely on your own palate. If you like a softer, rounder, fruitier, you go to warmer vintages, more elegant villages. If you like powerful, tannic, austere, you go to cooler vintages from more tannic type of village terroir. Okay, so always you decide what you want.
Did you see a light bulb go off over my head at some point during that interview?
First I smelled smoke, but then, the light bulb went off.
I mean, it took a little bit to get the hamsters turning the wheels that power the light bulb over my head, but, I think it's a little bit more validation. I mean, not that we really need validation in Ontario, but to see people like Thomas Batchelder on the right track with mapping the good sites and, seeing that, regions that are focused on making small lots of wine from small vineyards and, creating the following that goes with them. It's just so much of what he said just sort of made sense to me. Now, the frustrating thing for me is I don't know which vineyards are the quote unquote good vineyards and what the starting point is and where the entry level is. And then there's so many of them. How do you know where to start? Because and I mean, this is something where I'm sure you're going to help guide me along the way, because last week there was a Barolo offer through the LCBO, and I sent you a budget and a bunch of wines, and you looked at the list and you were just like, I might buy this, I might buy that, and kind of hummed and hawed, and I ended up not not buying anything, which I think was the right choice, because I'm hoping that you're going to help me find some wines that are exciting. It looks like with Barolo, I should be able to get some stuff for like $150 that might be exciting.
The thing is, though, it's for there. Yeah, it's the vineyard, but it's a lot about the producer.
Well, because the aging process is such an important part of how their appellation system works, and that's not as much, or that is not a part of it in Burgundy, right?
Correct. Yeah. So they're told how many months it has to be, and it all depends on who's using new oak, who's using old oak, who's using large oak, who's using small oak. It really is. It is more of a producer-driven region than it is a crew-driven region, although there are some really good producers making wines from really good crew.
But that's where there's the overlap with Burgundy. It's just like you can get some really good large producers that are also négociants who work with Meursault Les Charmes or Clos de Vougeot, where maybe they're working with parcels that they don't necessarily own, blah blah blah, and like. You can spend a lot of money on some of these wines and they're profoundly mediocre, where it's finding that right producer in the right spot. And this is a producer that I've shouted out on this podcast many times, like Bergeret et Fille, who focuses on Saint-Aubin and Chassagne-Montrachet. And, Clotilde's wines are just profoundly good and are really hyper-focused on those particular regions. Right?
So yeah, it's still about, it sounds like it is in Burgundy as well, finding the producer who makes great wines, and then where they get their wines from will show the difference within the wine.
Well, let's return to our adventure. There's a little bit more commentary to come. Okay, so we've tasted a handful of wines. They're definitely more accessible than I thought we would be, but we've now been explained how the crew system works.
Yes, yeah. There's a lot of crews. I don't know what there is in Burgundy, but there's a lot also in Piedmont.
But I mean, there's more than 10 Grand Crus in.
I don't know if there's Grand Crus in Barolo. There are more well-known vineyards than there are what they consider Grand Cru. But there's what do you say, 170 crus?
And then
there's villages.
What we have in our glass right now is Canubi, which is one of the 10.
It's considered one of the better vineyards, yes.
Yeah, from a producer called Borgogno.
Borgonano. Borgogno.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Something like that. I can never pronounce their name.
It's just interesting, accessible, very fruity. I like it.
We also tried
much is this?
Aurelio Settimo from Rocca d'Annunziata, which is also another very well-known vineyard. And it was also very fruity, and based on the way she makes her wine.
Yeah, lots of tannin, but not as harsh as I was expecting.
No, very smooth, actually, I thought. So you got tannin, I did not. I get a lot of fruit, and I got a lot of acidity.
There's a lot of tannin in all these wines, just a different structure of the tannin. But anyways, let's keep tasting. I'm still a little disappointed that I had to go work that day. It felt like my early mornings at the LCBO where, you and I used to go taste, and I would get an hour and a half to kind of hyper focus on the Ontario wines, plow through them, write my notes so I could do my radio segment for the week, and then
maybe taste half a dozen.
Where Michael, Dean, tell me which wines are the good ones.
Yeah, I remember those days.
It felt a little bit like that, but it was also nice that we got these interviews dealt with. We have one more interview.
Yes, I'm Pierluca. I'm the sales manager of the company, Bersano, family business. Since 2021, something new in the company. 4 sisters are managing nowadays our ownership. So something outstanding, women power. What's important to say is that we are working in a chateau style because we own 230 hectares divided in 10 estates. Each estate is providing a single type of wine. So we are trying to spread around the Piedmontish culture and give, let's say, to the new customer and also to the old one, keeping always the tradition, but providing the new wine in a new modern way. That it's printed on drinkability, flexibility, and more smoother, as a palate taste, because we are in a region that we are producing mostly the DOC and DOCG in a single variety. So if the single variety are not, allowed to be blended, you need to be, more modern on the market to continue to sell that type of varieties.
What does more modern mean versus old style at the winery, if you can explain that?
Let's make with it a simple example. No, the Barbera that my grandfather was doing was high acidity, stronger in alcohol. So the modern way allowed to the new winemaker, let's say, the concept to be more specific in how to produce the wine, correcting the acidity, correcting the strongness, and not charge that strongness with the tannins. So build a product that is really flexible and smoother. So thanks to the new technician used by the winemaker, and thanks to all the new style of the oak and the stainless steel version that we are having in our, let's say, cellar.
So this has been my crash course in Barolo, and there have been a few really good teachers so far. How many of the individual appellations do you work with, and you're the sales manager, like what does that mean for the marketing? Are there certain clients who are just like, oh, I have to buy this vineyard or I have to buy that vineyard?
Let's say I'm making a real example personally with our estates. Today you are going to see our Barbaresco and our Barolo. Badarina mentioned in Serra Lunga d'Alba, let's say 15 to 20 years ago, was one of the, let's say, worst area to produce Barolo. Why? Because we are 500 meters on the sea level, so a lot of humidity. So 20 years ago, the climate change doesn't impact a lot on the drinkability, let's say. So our wines were really, light in a perception. Needs really long time to age to be ready on the market. Nowadays, since the climate change is impacting a lot, drinking Badarina, drinking Serra Lunga d'Alba, it's one of the future, let's say, Barolo for the next 20 years, because thanks to the humidity that we have, especially in Serra Lunga d'Alba and in the Badarina MGA, it's providing a lot of freshness and a lot of drinkability in our Barolos. So that's a perfect example of how the climate change was impacting in our cellar.
So would you say that these days Barolo and Barbaresco are more accessible early to the customer, or is it something that people still have to put in the cellar, or is it a little bit of both?
My personal opinion, there are two still different customers. So the old customer doesn't, let's say, accept the modern way to produce Barolo or to drink early. So they still want the old vintages already aged a lot in oak and a lot in the bottle to be, let's say, perfect drinking time nowadays. The new customer, as I mentioned before, our personal experience from Europe, Asia, and also US and Canada, we saw that the, let's say, Generation Z, but calling Generation Z in the wine means 25, 35 years old, likes the modern style, likes to drink more, let's say, fresh wine, and doesn't need to wait too long to be in the perfect expression of that time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your interview, and hope you see in our cellar in Nizza Monferrato to discover all our wines.
So I was at Bersano, and that was a few years back. Actually, I've been to Bersano twice now that I think about it. And, you know, they do Barolo. They also do Nizza, which was a big thing that I was very interested in, which is another cru wine within Piedmont, which is Barbera. So it's Cru Barbera. Mm-hmm. They're all about cru in Piedmont. They are all about vineyards and sites, and Bersano just is in the heart of Nizza Monferrato, but they also obviously do Barolo, and he gave us a nice overview of what was going on there.
You know, even though I was there briefly, I was really glad to have you there to guide us along, and that we got to talk to the people that we got to talk to. It felt like I said, an eye-opening experience for someone who loves to cook what I love to cook, especially in the hot weather, that these wines haven't been in my life, honestly, because it's been a little overwhelming to know where to dive in. So here's the thing.
They're also, unfortunately, not cheap, but I would recommend, you know, for those, you know, who don't want to spend the $150, $200 on Barolo, a Langhe Nebbiolo it's like an entry drug. It's a gateway drug? It's a gateway drug to Barolo and Barbaresco. And I think that we should. Well, as I said, when I'm in a restaurant in Italy, I'm looking for Barbaros, I'm looking for Nebbiolos. Look, our dollar is not the strongest when it comes to the euro, so I'm always looking for 30, 40 euro bottles of wine. And Langhe Nebbiolo always sits in that lovely price point.
So I guess it's just in terms of talking dollars and cents. Like we said in one of the breaks earlier, there was that offering from the LCBO, and I said, like, hey, I've got 150. I think I said like 100 to 200. No, anyways,
it was 100 to 150.
I was kind of in the pocket, which is like you should be able to get a really good bottle of wine. Maybe not like the world's greatest, but in terms of a premium wine region, something exciting. And we held off on it. And I'm starting to think that maybe we should put an order together, because the Reva Barolo that we have in front of us is $82.95 a bottle.
That's very good. That's very good. And what is do you also have the Langhe Nebbiolo? How much?
Yeah,
is
the
that?
Langhe Nebbiolo is $39.95.
Oh, so that's a steal.
I mean, this is one of the reasons why we feature so many of Nicholas Pearce's wines. Is like he is the king of value in terms of agencies, just finding really great like family producers that offer insane value for what they are. So I know I said thank you earlier, but it's just like. It's an absolute pleasure to get to spend time with the wine, but to see that the wine is actually affordable for what it is even more exciting. So, $82.95. This is not like a Friday night wine, but this is the sort of thing where maybe next time I get paid, I pick up 3 bottles, drink one now with some brisket this summer, and save the other 2 for the future.
I think you'd be very happy, and you could hang on to it for 5-10 years. You'd be happy. As I said, the Langhe Nebbiolo. It's a drink now wine, but it also has some ageability to it too. The region is all about like ageability, but also not necessarily value. But they do have wines in all the right price points, and that's what makes, I think, Piedmont a very exciting region, and also a very food-friendly region. It actually has one of my favorite. And last time I was there, every restaurant that I went to
served you chicken fingers.
It was not. It was vitello tonato.
Vitello tonato.
If you never had, it's veal and tuna sauce. You've got to go. You have got to go. It is one of the things. It sounds weird. It
doesn't sound weird to me. I'm just surprised that you would eat something like that. Did you put ketchup on it?
No, this stuff is great. I ordered at every restaurant I have. I could show you 9 different pictures of 9 different kinds of vitello tonato. That it's each restaurant is different. Some bury it in sauce. Some just have little dollops of sauce. Some just put little, tiny little, quarter size squeezes of sauce. I am a sauce guy. I really like vitello tonato, and in the region, it's obviously a delicacy. Great with, I hate to say it again, Langhe Nebbiolo.
I guess this is where we do the thank yous. I guess just one last thank you to Will Predome, whose agency organized the whole tasting.
Yep.
It was nice to see a good turnout. Great to do a crash course on these wines, and this is definitely not going to be the last one we do. And it's just like, we're quickly getting to the point, Michael, where I can't say that Italy is a weak point in my wine knowledge. I'm actually retaining a lot of what we've talked about this year.
You're getting the thin edge of the wedge and coming right in.
But it's just so lovely where it's just like, I've been so hyper focused on Ontario and France because I like that sameness to draw the parallels I can take to the wine business, but it's just like, it's nice to get the palate cleansed, pun intended.
Yeah, I mean, Italy is, there is no comparison to Italy and Ontario unless you go maybe with the acidity that the wines have.
Support your local wine journalists. Patreon.com/2guystalkingwine. If only a couple more of you would think of kicking in a few bucks, it would actually go a long way for Michael and I maybe to afford to buy ourselves lunch.
Oh, or a cup of coffee.
Or a cup of coffee. I mean, our monthly support is literally not even a cup of coffee a day. We're asking for a cup of coffee a month.
And look, we have added extra value into it by when we have long-form interviews that we cut up, we are giving you the full interview. So some of them are 20 minutes, some of them are a full hour, and they're packed with information that we just can't get into in the podcast. We're trying to keep these things down to an hour, and an hour-long interview has got to be cut down.
André Proulx at André Wine Review on social media. AndreWineReview.ca is my website.
And I am Michael Pinkus of MichaelPinkusWineReview.com, the great guy on most social medias. And Andre, cheers and good night.
Thanks for listening. Please subscribe to Two Guys Talking Wine on iTunes.
Two Guys Talking Wine is produced by Adam Duran and Ken Little.